that I want and explain to you that I understand.
For you! What are you talking about?
It's dirty, it's filthy.
Not just I've just lost Mr. Fagan's son.
Because you didn't get nothing.
For all these dark secrets to come out that should have stayed in.
But most importantly, you have to remember, you don't want to let.
I never doubted the paternity.
You didn't take care of him, so why are you worried about my child?
By the way, this is your father.
I didn't show up, but why? Why?
Mr. Fegan claims that he's known the truth for over 40 years, and today the DNA test will prove his case. He claims that Miss Pinkstone here is his daughter, even though she grew up calling another man father. Miss Pinkstone, on the other hand, claims that her late father, Mr. Pinkstone, is her true father, and that she doesn't accept Mr. Fegan's claim over her.
16 years old. I never knew of him, never heard nothing about him. And then all of a sudden one day, my mom decided to take me with her to a friend's house. My mom calls me to the dining room. She goes, I want you to meet somebody. They get to talking to me, Mr. Fagan, and my mom. Then my mom just out says, hey, by the way, this is your father.
Who did you think your father was? Did you know your father?
This is my father.
Wait a minute. That's such a heavy thing to drop on a child at 16. At least Mrs. Pinkstone didn't ask her child to keep that secret for life and not tell her father about it, right? At least she wouldn't do something so horrible, right? Well, we'll find out. For now, let's hear Mr. Fegan's part of the story.
Me and Miss Pinkston's mother had an affair. We worked together at a plant. We got to know each other.
You spent a lot of time together.
Because
you worked a lot of hours together.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Honor.
Did you know she was married?
Well, yes, at the time it was wrong, but we.
How long did the affair last?
5 or 6 months, maybe somewhere. I mean, she came to me before I left the job.
Mrs. Pinkstone never wanted this secret to get out, so she kept it a secret until Mr. Pinkstone passed away. He passed away thinking that Miss Pinkstone was his daughter.
The reason why this all came out, for the cat to get out the bag, is when I was 16, they told me that Kenny was my father. The only reason why was because my mom thought I was dating one of his family members, and that's why they told me. But needless to say, it was not me, it's my sister that was dating his family member.
Oh, and so they felt like they needed to tell you because you were dating your cousin.
Yes.
It would be the worst day of anyone's life. Learning that your father isn't really your father and that you also couldn't let your father know about it would drive anyone over the edge.
Not want to believe it, or you just...
I didn't believe it.
She, to this day, Your Honor, she does not believe that. That's why I am here.
Did you ever talk to your father, the man you believe
No,
your father?
my dad passed away never knowing the secret from the time I was 16 until I was 27. We never spoke of this subject, ever.
That's really the worst part of all of this, that a young girl of 16 years old was called upon to hold such a great secret at just 16 by 2 adults. What would they have done if she refused to keep the secret? Of course, she must have known the trauma it would bring to her parents' marriage, and that's probably why she decided to keep the secret.
You all asked a 16-year-old girl to keep a secret like that, Mr.
No,
Fagan?
we did not. I did not ask her to. Her mom insisted that this would stay between us and her when we told her. She was raised by Gus there, and I know how much she loved him. She never would call me her father or...
I never called my father because my father died.
Mr. Fegan says that he believes Mr. Pinkstone somehow knew that he wasn't Miss Pinkstone's father, and he knows this because he met Mr. Pinkstone on a couple of occasions. That's right, Mr. Fegan sometimes went to the house of the husband of the woman he was having an affair with. That's just nasty. Can you imagine how psychopathic you have to be to sleep with someone's wife and then come to their house to see your supposed daughter right under the nose of her father?
Mr. Fagan used to come to your house when your dad was alive?
Yeah.
I did, Your Honor, I did.
But
As what? And what were you posing as? A family friend?
Family friend, that's what it was. The secret was still on.
The secret was still on?
Yes.
And so you just come by the house, but you were really coming by to see Miss Pinkston?
Well, hopefully that she was there.
That's insane. That's a psychopathic thing to do. Remember, Mr. Pinkstone passed away not knowing about any of this. What's worse is that Miss Pinkstone has had to live with this guilt all her life.
I lived this guilt from 16 to 27, never telling Mr. Pinkston that Mr. Fagan is supposed to be my dad. My dad died not knowing none of this.
Do you regret not telling him?
I do. I felt like if they had enough to tell me about it, how come they didn't just let everything out the bag? And
this is incredible because Miss Pinkstone had such a close bond with her father. She was Daddy's little girl, and even when she had kids, she didn't leave her father's house. She was with him until he passed away.
So, Miss Pinkston, your mother told Mr. Fagan he is your biological father. So, what is your doubt?
I had one father, and I had one father my whole entire life, and that's Mr. Pinkston. That's my dad. Mr. Pinkston is my dad.
Was he on your birth certificate?
Yes, me and Mr. Fagan, we never.
What is that? Is that your birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
Ron, will you hand me that, please?
Despite knowing how close Miss Pinkstone was with her father, Mr. Fegan still felt it was in his place to introduce himself to Miss Pinkstone's kids as their grandfather. That's an insane thing to do.
When you went to speak to the children, had you had a conversation with her first to ask if it's okay?
I figured it was
No.
already done, Your Honor.
No.
Through her.
You thought that there was a level of acceptance. You
Right,
thought
from her too, telling them that I am her father and I am their grandfather.
But when he told my kids that he's their grandfather, my kids were destroyed.
I always knew that she felt Gus was her father.
Before we learn about the DNA test results, we've got to hear from an independent witness who sheds a lot of light on the emotional dynamics surrounding this case. The independent witness is Ms. Pinkstone's sister, Melissa Pinkstone.
Your Honor, honestly, I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, it's been this long. Should have left it alone. I love you, Tanya, but this is something I really didn't want part of. My mom was a good woman. My dad was awesome. If it was a secret, it should have stayed a secret. If you can hold it for 43 years.
But that wouldn't be fair to Ms. Pinkstone or me Pinkstone, would it? Ms. Melissa Pinkstone also says she knew about the paternity secret, but felt it wasn't in her place to speak about it. She says now the entire Pinkstone family knows about it, and it hurts her because it hurts her mother's reputation. She also feels it's disrespectful to her father. Now let's listen to the results.
Mr. Fagan,
Yes.
you are not her
Oh my
father.
God.
Oh, Lord, no.
Oh,
No. Tanya. Oh, no. I can't believe this.
didn't need to be known.
Yes. This
It
is
is.
Ms. Taylor and Ms. Johnson here claim that they were pregnant at the same time with Mr. Barber's children. They say he's refused to be a father to their children and has ignored his responsibilities. They also allege that he takes very good care of his other children he had with his wife. That's right, Mr. Barber here is a married man. Mr. Barber, on the other hand, says the reason he cannot support Ms. Taylor and Ms. Johnson is because they ask for too much money and create too much drama.
I believe that he supports his other child because he's still sleeping with his other child's mother.
No, we're not.
He had 3 women pregnant at the same time. He is a dog. He doesn't do anything for my child.
That's
I
not
have
true,
to
Your
take
Honor.
care of my child
That is
by
not true,
myself.
Your Honor.
Excuse me, I'm
That is
talking.
not true, Your
I am
Honor.
talking. You do not
That is not
interrupt
true,
me
Your
when
Honor.
I'm talking.
Okay,
Shut your mouth.
let's
right
settle
now.
down.
Oh, that's a handful. Well, I can say that Mr. Barber wasn't lying about the drama part because Ms. Taylor sounds and looks very dramatic. Anyway, she says that Mr. Barber has never taken care of her child and has done nothing for her. She also says he will only take care of her child if she agrees to sleep with him. That's insane.
Bro, he's crazy. He's lost his mind.
He only deal with a woman that's gonna take his crap because he's sleeping with them.
Exactly.
He won't take mine. He says, I'm too difficult. I don't feel I'm difficult. She's not difficult.
And
He
I
just
should
wants
not
someone
have
take
to
care of our
sleep with
kids.
my child's father just
what's
for
the
him to take
problem?
care
That's
of
the problem. Like, take care of your
Who I
kids.
sleep
Women
with
have
that
to
has
do with
nothing to
them
do with
taking,
taking care of my
sleeping with
children.
anybody has to do with taking
It
care
has
of your
nothing to
kids.
do
does,
with
'cause
my
it shows how you
child.
feel.
let
Your
your
children.
So much talking, very little listening. We now know that these 3 people hate one another, or that Ms. Taylor and Ms. Johnson really hate Mr. Barber. But here's the question. Is he the father of all these kids? The answer seems to be yes.
Mr. Barber, you wholeheartedly admit that you are the father of all the children.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I saw the birth certificates,
I have signed every single one of them.
Ms. Johnson,
Yeah, he's on mine. Is he on yours?
Not mine.
Ms.
on
Taylor,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cut the umbilical cord and everything.
What?
Yeah. Did he cut the umbilical cord for you? Oh, how about you, Cash?
oh, you done started
okay.
something now.
Oh, there's another problem. Ms. Taylor says that Mr. Barber wasn't there for her child's birth, while he was there for the birth of his other children.
He stayed for 24 hours. You know, when you get induced, you never know when the baby's gonna come. He stayed for the first 24 hours and he left. I called him and I said, I'm 10 centimeters. I'm getting ready to push. He didn't come. He didn't come. I had her by myself. I was there. I pushed that baby out by myself.
Yeah.
You
I
did
didn't
not
show up.
come
I didn't show
until
up.
hours
I didn't show
later.
up, but why?
You did
Why?
not come.
Wow, that's a lot. However, it seems Mr. Barber's fuse is also getting a little short. When Ms. Johnson says he was on the phone while she was having her baby, he gives her a piece of his mind.
Mom, I wasn't with you when we had my child. I was not with you.
Oh, no,
yes,
but
I
you
was
said we
there
was
for
about
my
to be
child.
together.
I couldn't
You
do
said we was
umbilical
gonna
cord.
be
Yes,
together.
I admit
You
that
said
I
we
was
was gonna be
not a
together.
good
You
person.
wasn't sitting there talking with me.
I admit
We
that.
wasn't
I'm not
supposed to be
saying
sitting there
that,
saying we
that
was
I was a
together.
perfect person.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever.
not saying that.
Mr. Barber,
But that's
I
not
know
what we on trial about here. I want to see my children.
Well, Mr. Barber, you aren't on trial, you're on paternity court. Ms. Taylor isn't done with accusing Mr. Barber, so he gives her a piece of his mind too.
My past was not perfect. What I'm saying is, yes, I've done some things, and I'm not perfect. No, I fall very short of that. But these women know that I love my children, and they know that.
You don't show it!
The relationships here are so toxic, it's hard to imagine how this feels to their children. The incredible thing is that they are probably even more civil right now in paternity court than they are in real life. How would a child feel growing up in this sort of environment? The good thing is that Mr. Barber isn't denying paternity today. The only reason why he's in court is because he hasn't stepped up financially.
For the better part of my children, and I was doing music. I've been doing music since I was 12 years old. So I continued to do music. I went to school. I got a degree so I could be able to take care of my children right now. One thing my father always told me is if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of children?
Well, Mr. Barber, you shouldn't be making kids if you cannot provide for them. However, Mr. Barber says things have now changed and he can now provide for them, but the maths don't add up.
Mr. Barber, look at me. Have you sent Miss Taylor or Miss Johnson any money
Recently?
consistently?
Consistently, no, ma'am.
Miss Taylor, I need to hear your side. Mr. Barber, give her a chance. We have listened to your side. Miss Taylor,
Yes,
has
Your
he
Honor.
sent anything to help you with your child?
He bought my daughter 2 packs of diapers.
There you have it, folks. Ms. Taylor says her daughter is 5 years old and has only ever received 2 packs of diapers from Mr. Barber. Ms. Johnson says her child hasn't even received a single pack of diapers from Mr. Barber. To make things worse, both women found out about one another until much later in their pregnancies. Amazingly, Mr. Barber doesn't treat his third baby mama like he treats Ms. Johnson and Ms. Taylor.
He is capable of being a good father to their children.
Of course.
And in
but-
your estimation, since you know him, what do you think has been stopping him? Because he acknowledges paternity. He admitted to this court, I might not have been right about everything in the past. I got a lot wrong, but I owned up to my kids.
I honestly feel like that it's not about the kids for them. It's more about they're bitter because things didn't work out for them how they planned.
Wow, that's heavy. Anyway, it's time for the judge to make a ruling on whether these women are entitled to any money from Mr. Barber.
Ledger and also receipts for child care expenses. Now, these expenses that you have presented, they accurately depict what it takes to raise a child. Now, Mr. Barber, do you have anything to add before I make my ruling?
No, ma'am.
You know, it is this court's opinion that Ms. Taylor is in fact entitled to $3,608 in back child care expenses.
Now that Ms. Taylor has gotten her expenses, let's see if Ms. Johnson gets her expenses as well.
Countless receipts. This is for his uniform.
School uniform.
For school, diapers. Well, these expenses are all reasonable and legitimate. And Mr. Barber, seeing as though you have acknowledged this child, signed his birth certificate, you have a responsibility.
Ms. Knox is 110% certain that her 1-year-old son Cash belongs to her ex-boyfriend Mr. Bailey and is seeking a DNA test to prove that. She also says the only reason he's refused to take responsibility for Cash is because of his overbearing mother. Of course, Mr. Bailey's overbearing mother is also in court with him today to prove just how non-overbearing she is. His mother argues that her son, Mr. Bailey, is a dancer who's about to make it big, and Ms. Knox is just after his fame. Well, we'll see about that.
Yana, for the past year that I've had my child, I had to struggle to take care of him alone. I paid for everything.
That's because you wanted to, little girl.
That's because
no, ma'am.
No, I
ma'am.
paid for everything because
No, ma'am.
he quit his job, and in
He did
June
not
of
quit his
2014, I asked him when will he start to pay for something, and he said he will.
I always had
July 13, 2014, when it came, he didn't have anything in the hospital with nothing.
Well, there's no love lost here, that's for sure. Mr. Bailey claims Ms. Knox is lying and that he paid for the child to be circumcised once the child was born. That's great, but it also raises another question. If Mr. Bailey claims Cash isn't his child,
You didn't think he was yours, why pay for it?
the same reason why I bought everything else.
You ain't do nothing for your own son, so I don't
The
even know
same
why you
reason why-
care. You didn't take care of him, so why are you worried about my child?
That's not- She don't know.
You
She
did.
don't know.
You
She
did.
don't know.
You didn't take care of him.
She don't know.
Take care of him.
She don't know.
why is he paying for anything? That means at some point he must have believed that Cash was his child. After Cash was born, Mr. Bailey stopped being involved with him. He says this was because Ms. Knox took off to Texas for no reason, while Ms. Knox says she took off because she needed help raising her child. But Mr. Bailey says he has evidence that he bought things for Cash and was ready to take care of the child off the bat. Ms. Knox says he only got those things because she was about to put him on child support.
And this
Y'all
is
take it.
evidence you've submitted. It is a tweet
That
that
Mr.
he
Elwood-
says, I wonder how many more receipts I'ma need before I go to court.
Right.
What? What kind of tweet is this, Mr. Bailey?
It's a joke because who does that? Like, what type of father? I have two kids.
You wrote
I have
it.
2 kids.
No, did you tweet this?
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 kids.
What is it about?
I mean, it's me making a joke. Like, I have 2 kids.
Something tells us Mr. Bailey isn't being totally honest here. The question now is this. Mr. Bailey went to the hospital, signed the birth certificate for the baby, and even, as he says, bought a lot of things the baby might need. So when did he start doubting that the baby was actually his?
I'm not no phone checking type person. That's not my style, okay? But I just so happened to go through her phone. She was texting me and this little dude around the same time, telling us it was like the same conversations, right? Like minutes apart, not even, like minutes apart. So the last text message said, I'm gonna come give you a hug and a kiss, right? From the other guy. And my text message said, I'm on my way to come get you. So it's pretty much whoever got there first.
Well, that's an incredible reason to have doubts that a child is yours. But that can't be Mr. Bailey's only reason because his mother has a few reasons of her own.
You believe she was already pregnant
when she met my son. And the reason why I say that is because you own the social media, okay? So obviously you done saw what he was doing for his other kids and maybe even what's going on for...
Yana, he does not have a career. I don't know what career you're talking about, but he does not. He was nothing when I met him, and he's nothing now.
And like you,
it
nothing.
was your house.
Calm down.
Come on, that's a bit harsh. Mr. Bailey here is a really successful dancer, and he's going to make it in the big leagues one day. Look at him dance. Does this not look like a successful dancer to you?
He came back with nothing.
You don't know what he came back with. Because you didn't get nothing. Because you didn't get nothing from him.
He came back a week later. So if you
But
go
you
to
didn't get
Hollywood
nothing.
to
You
make
didn't come back
out
no
of your
week
life,
later, Your
you are
Honor.
not going to come back a week later to do this? What is that?
Your Honor.
That's not no career.
He did not come back a week later. And even if he don't make it.
That's not money because he's shaking his shoulder.
Anyway, Mrs. Bailey says that Ms. Knox was already knocked up by the time she met her son, and she even has charts to prove it. Mrs. Bailey, also, she's always hated Ms. Knox and has a guy feeling that Cash isn't her grandson. It's all settled then. Mrs. Bailey has a gut feeling, and as we all know, gut feelings are really all that matters.
Have you ever requested a DNA test?
3 times. I asked her 3 times, and we haven't seen Cash ever since I brought that up. And then every time we want to see Cash, Edward has to give her something. Oh, well, if you give me a case of diapers, you can see Cash.
Okay.
Yeah, and I still don't receive this stuff. The reason why I don't give them to him because, first off, their house is not even properly, it's not even a house. It's dirty, it's filthy, it's
You lie!
Ms. Knox makes some really good points, but if she claims that this man is her child's father, she has to allow him to see the child. At this point, Mr. Bailey says he would like to fully explain why he doubts that he's the father of Cash.
I mean, she even, she goes as far as to dealing with my friends, like a couple of my apart. I don't know if she think I don't know about it or not. But they always tell me, they always come back and tell me, son, your baby mama tore up. She trying to talk to me like she, you know what I'm saying? Like all the time. Like, I know how dudes is.
Never
Some
heard
them
of
probably,
Yana. That's something new.
Wait, she tore up? What do you mean?
Like
She messed up.
a thought
You know.
out here.
A thought is
you know,
basically
jumping around.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, here's the thing. You're going to have to do a lot more to convince us of your point. Really. And in the end, he does.
How good of a father, like she's happy that I've been there, and that I've been taking care of my son and so on and so forth. But I received a letter saying that she must have went down there and filed and took me out child support. Why would you do that? The only reason.
So you're saying you got a letter in the mail that
Correct.
says that you were going to be taken off child support.
No, that my case would no longer be pursued. I didn't even know.
However, Ms. Knox says she just didn't respond to the case anymore because she felt Mr. Bailey was old enough to take care of his kids without getting the government involved. Boy, oh boy, was she wrong. She says after a while she realized that she was wrong, so she went back to the government and filed for child support legally. In fact, she says Mr. Bailey will soon receive paperwork in his mail notifying him of it. Well, let's see what the results say then.
Mr. Bailey, you are Cash's father. You seem emotionless. How does it feel?
Son. That's my son. I'm gonna move forward with what I gotta do as a father, and I'm not gonna let her bring me down. I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing because I know the truth.